Sonnet number 26. My name is Anna Talley. I'm Kurt Benrud's daughter. Lord of my love, to whom in vassalage thy merit hath my duty strongly knit, to thee I send this written ambassage, to witness duty, not to show my wit. Duty so great, which wit so poor as mine may make seem bare in wanting words to show it. But that I hope some good conceit of thine in thy sole thought, all naked will bestow it. Till whatsoever star that guides my moving points on me graciously with fair aspect, and puts apparel on my tattered loving to show me worthy of thy sweet respect. Then may I dare to boast how I do love thee, till then not show my head where thou mayst prove me. Carrigan Talley, sonnet number 27. Weary with toil, I haste me to my bed.
Weary with toil, I haste me to my bed.
The dear repose for limbs with travel tired. The dear repose for limbs with travel tired. But then begins a journey in my head.
But then begins a journey in my head.
To work my mind when body's works expired.
To work my mind when body's works expire.
For then my thoughts from far where I abide.
For then my thoughts from where I abide.
Intend a zealous pilgrimage to thee. Intend a zealous pilgrimage to thee. And keep my drooping eyelids open wide.
And keep my drooping eyelids open wide.
Looking on darkness which the blind do see.
Looking on the darkness which the blind do see.
Mm-hmm. Save that my soul's imaginary sight. Save that my soul's imaginary sight presents thy shadow to my sightless view. Presents thy shadow to my sightless view, which, like a jewel hung in ghastly night, makes black night beauteous and her old face new.
Which makes black night beauteous and her old face new.
Lo, thus, by day my limbs, by night my mind.
Can you help me?
Lo, thus,
by day my limbs, by night my mind.
For thee and for myself no quiet find.
For thee and myself no quiet find.
And can you tell everybody what that's talking about?
What is it?
Not being able to sleep.
Not being able to sleep.
Okay, now Sonnet 27 by Carrigan Talley, as nervous as she was.
Okay, and so you got to hear my daughter, and then you got to hear my granddaughter. Now let's go ahead and have the patriarch of the family, as it were. Okay, I'm Kurt Benrud, reading from Cary, North Carolina. This is sonnet number 28. How can I then return in happy plight that am debarred the benefit of rest, when day's oppression is not eased by night, but day by night and night by day oppressed, and each, though enemies to either's reign, do in consent shake hands to torture me, the one by toil, the other to complain how far I toil, still farther off from thee. I tell the day, to please him thou art bright, and dost him grace when clouds do blot the heaven. So flatter I the swart complexioned night, when sparkling stars twire not, thou gilt'st the even. But day doth daily draw my sorrows longer, and night doth nightly make grief's length seem longer.
Hi, here I am. My name is Maria Raphael, and I'm coming to you from my home workspace in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I've got Sonnet 29. When in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes, I all alone beweep my outcast state, and trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries, and look upon myself and curse my fate, wishing me like to one more rich in hope, featured like him with friends possessed, desiring this man's art and that man's scope, with what I most enjoy, contented least. Yet, in these thoughts myself almost despising, haply I think on thee, and then my state, like to the lark at break of day arising from sullen earth, sings hymns at heaven's gate. For thy sweet love remembered such wealth brings, that then I scorn to change my state with kings.
I'm going to be reading, I'm here in Garner, North Carolina, and I'm going to be reading Sonnet 30. When to the sessions of sweet silent thought, I summon up remembrance of things past, I sigh the lack of many a thing I sought. And with old woes new wail my dear time's waste. Then can I drown an eye unused to flow, for precious friends hid in death's dateless night, and weep afresh love's long since canceled woe, and moan the expense of many a vanished sight. Then can I grieve at grievances foregone, and heavily from woe to woe tell o'er the sad account of fore bemoaned moaned, which I knew pay, as if not paid before. But if the while I think on thee, dear friend, all losses are restored and sorrows end.
Sonnet 31. Thy bosom is endeared with all hearts, which I by lacking had supposed dead, and there reigns love and all love's loving parts, and all those friends which I thought buried. How many a holy and obsequious tear hath dear religious love stolen from mine eye, as interest of the dead which now appear, but things removed that hidden in thee lie. Thou art the grave where buried love doth live, hung with the trophies of my lovers gone, with all their parts to thee did give, that due of many now is thine alone. Their images I loved, I view in thee, and thou, all they, hast all thee, all of me.
Ellen Clapp, I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina. Sonnet 32. If thou survive my well-contented day, when that churl death my bones with dust shall cover, and shalt by fortune once more resurvey these poor rude lines of thy deceased lover, compare them with the bettering of the time, and though they be outstripped by every pen, reserve them for my love, not for their rhyme, exceeded by the height of happier men. Oh, then vouchsafe me but this loving thought, had my friend's muse grown with this growing age, a dearer birth than this his love had brought, to march in ranks a better equipage. But since he died, and poets better prove, theirs for their style I'll read, his for his love.
Full many a glorious morning have I seen flatter the mountaintops with sovereign eye, kissing with golden face the meadows green, gilding pale streams with heavenly alchemy. Anon permit the basest clouds to ride with ugly wrack on his celestial face, and from the forlorn world his visage hide, stealing unseen to west with this disgrace. Even so, my sun one early morn did shine with all triumphant splendor on my brow, but out, alack, he was but 1 hour mine, the region cloud hath masked him from me now. Yet him for this my love no whit disdaineth, sons of the world may stain when heaven's sun staineth.
This is Ashley Quinones, and I'm reading Sonnet 34. Why didst thou promise such a beauteous day, and make me travel forth without my cloak, to let base clouds o'ertake me in my way, hiding thy bravery in their rotten smoke? 'Tis not enough that through the cloud thou break, to dry the rain on my storm-beaten face. For no man well of such a salve can speak, that heals the wound and cures not the disgrace. Nor can thy shame give physic to my grief, though thou repent yet, I have still the loss. The offender's sorrow lends but weak relief to him that bears the strong offense's cross. But those tears are pearl which thy love sheds, and they are rich and ransom all ill deeds.
Okay, so this is Sonnet 35. No more be grieved at that which thou done. Roses have thorns and silver fountains mud. Clouds and eclipses stain both moon and sun, and loathsome canker lives in sweetest bud. All men make faults, and even I in this authorizing thy trespass with compare, myself corrupting, salving thy amiss, excusing thy sins more than thy sins are. For to thy sensual fault I bring incense. Thy adverse party is thy advocate, and against my lawful plea commence. Such civil war is in my love and hate, that I an accessory needs must be to that sweet thief which sourly robs from me.
Sonnet 36. Let me confess that we two must be twain. Although our undivided loves are one, so shall those blots that do with me remain. Without thy help, by me be borne alone. In our two loves there is just one respect, though in our lives a separate spite, which though it alter not love's sole effect, yet doth it steal sweet hours from love's delight. I may not evermore acknowledge thee, lest my bewailed guilt should do thee shame, nor thou with public kindness honor me, unless you take that honor from my name. But do not so. I love thee in such sort, as thou being mine, mine is thy good report. Thank you.
So this is Sonnet 37. As a decrepit father takes delight to see his active child do deeds of youth, so I, made lame by fortune's dearest spite, take all my comfort of thy worth and truth. For whether beauty, birth, or wealth, or wit, or any of these all, or more, entitled in thy parts do crowned sit, I make my love engrafted to this store. So then I am not lame, poor, nor despised, whilst at this shadow does substance give, that I in thy abundance am sufficed, and by a part of all thy glory live. Look what is best, that best I wish in thee. I wish I have, then 10 times happy me. Now, if I may, I was going to read it again in Irish. And as I practiced reading it in Irish, I realized, which probably is obvious for those of you who have a second language, that it doesn't say the same thing exactly. Close, but not quite. So I decided to do something, with your permission, Kurt, to that I would read my translation of it from Irish to English. So this is roundabouts the languages. It has a title in Irish called Glór Hanishtach, which means secondary glory. And that has a lot to do with Irish and Scots history, why that would be called secondary glory. So here it is, Glór Hanishtach. Like a decrepit father whose great joy he takes from the youthful exploits his own children bring, I, injured by the sharp bitterness of the fates, find in your loyal deeds my own comforting. Whether from any of these, station or beauty, wealth or wit, these gifts, each one, all of them, are more. Within you, under a just crown, you do sit. As my love, I tie to it as a treasured store. Then I am not poor, nor injured, nor assailed, for a time sustained in the shadow I be. I find in your abundance my own great wail, and through a share of your great glory I live contentedly. In you I pray there would be every best quality, and if I get my prayer, tenfold happier will I be.
So I'll be reading Sonnet 38. It's kind of interesting because although it's almost all in regular iambic pentameter, that's of course the verse the sonnets are primarily written in, almost all of the lines are perfectly regular. I find the verse a little bit tricky to read. It's not quite smooth the way many of the sonnets are. So I'm hoping I get this right and don't stumble too much. So here's Sonnet 38. How can my muse want subject to invent, while thou dost breathe, that pourest into my verse thine own sweet argument, too excellent for every vulgar paper to rehearse? O give thyself the thanks if aught in me worthy perusals stand against thy sight. For who's so dumb that cannot write to thee, when thou thyself dost give invention light? Be thou the 10th muse, 10 times more in worth than those old 9 which rhymers invocate. And he that calls on thee, let him bring forth eternal numbers to outlive long date. If my slight muse do please these curious days, the pain be mine, but thine shall be the praise. Thank you.
Yes, I am. I'm in Raleigh. I'm Ann Forstheofel, and I do want to promote the next show that I'm in. I'm doing the musical Nonsense in Holly Springs and Fuquay Arena in May, the 2nd and 3rd weekends. So this is Sonnet 39. Oh, how thy worth with manners may I sing, when thou art all the better part of me. What can mine own praise to mine own self bring? And what is't but mine own when I praise thee? Even for this, let us divided live, and our dear love lose name of single one, that by this separation I may give that due to thee which thou deservest alone. Oh, absence, what a torment wouldst thou prove, were it not thy sour leisure gave sweet leave to entertain the time with thoughts of love, which time and thoughts so sweetly doth deceive. And that thou teachest how to make one twain by praising him here who doth hence remain. Thank you.
Take all my loves, my love, yea, take them all. What hast thou then more than thou hast before? Well, love, my love, that thou may true love call. All mine was thine before thou hast this more. Then if for my love thou my love receives, I cannot blame thee for thy love thou usest. That blame be blamed if thou thyself deceivest, by willful taste of what thyself refusest. I do forgive thy robbery, gentle thief, although thou steal thee all my poverty. And yet my love knows it is the greatest grief to bear love's wrong, then hate's known injury. Lascivious grace, in whom all ill well shows. Kill me with spite, yet we must not be foes.
This is Vaughn in Orange County between Chapel Hill and Hillsborough, and I'm reading Sonnet 41 without music. Those pretty wrongs that liberty commits, when I am sometime absent from thy heart, thy beauty and thy years full well befits. For still temptation follows where thou art. Gentle thou art, and therefore to be won. Beauteous thou art, therefore to be assailed. And when a woman woos, what woman's son will sourly leave her till he hath prevailed? Ah me, but yet thou mightst my seat forbear, and chide thy beauty and thy straying youth, who lead thee in their riot even there, while thou art forced to break a twofold truth. Hers by thy beauty tempting her to thee, thine by thy beauty being false to me.
Sonnet 42. That thou hast her, it is not all my grief, and yet it may be said I loved her dearly. That she had thee is of my wailing chief, a loss in love that touches me more nearly. Loving offenders, thus I will excuse ye. Thou dost love her, because thou knowest I love her. And for my sake, even so doth she abuse me, suffering my friend for my sake to approve her. If I lose thee, my loss is my love's gain, and losing her, my friend hath found that loss. Both find each other, and I lose both twain, and both for my sake lay on me this cross. But here's the joy. My friend and I are one. Sweet flattery. Then she loves but me alone.
I'm going to be reading sonnet number 43, titled, When Most I Wink, Then Do Mine Eyes Best See. When most I wink, then do mine eyes best see, for all the day they view things unrespected. But when I sleep, in dreams they look on thee, and darkly bright are bright in dark directed. Then thou, whose shadows doth make bright, how would thy shadows form happy show to the clear day with thy much clearer light? When to unseen eyes thy shade shines so, how would I say, mine eyes be blessed made? I'm not done. Sorry about that. By looking on thee in the living day, when in dead night thy fair imperfect shade through heavy sleep on sightless eyes doth stay, all days are nights to see till I see thee, and nights bright days when dreams do show thee me.
Or I shall live your epitaph to make, or you survive when I in earth am rotten. From hence your memory death cannot take, although in me each part will be forgotten. Your name from hence immortal life shall have, though I, once gone, to all the world must die. The earth can yield me but a common grave, when you, entombed in men's eyes, shall lie. Your monument shall be my gentle verse, which eyes not yet created shall o'erread, and tongues to be your being shall rehearse, when all the breathers of this world are dead. You still shall live, such virtue hath my pen, where breath most breathes, even in the mouths of men.
Start, if the dull
Is it thy will thy image should keep open my heavy eyelids to the weary night? Dost thou desire my slumber should be broken, while shadows like to thee do mock my sight? Is it thy spirit that thou sendest from thee so far from home into my deeds to pry? To find out shames and idle hours in me, the scope and tenure of thy jealousy? Oh no, thy love, though much, is not so great. It is my love that keeps mine eye awake, mine own true love that doth my rest defeat, to play the watchman ever for thy sake. For thee watch I, while thou doth wake elsewhere, from me far off, with others all too near.
The other two, Slight Air and Purging Fire, are both with thee whenever I abide. The first my thought, the other my desire. These present absent with swift motion slide. For when these quicker elements are gone in tender embassy of love to thee, my life, being made of four with two alone, sinks down to death, oppressed with melancholy, until life's composition be recurred by those swift messengers returned from thee, who even but now come back again assured of thy fair health, recounting it to me. This told, I joy, but they're no longer glad. I send them back again and straight grow sad.
Sonnet number 46. My eye and heart are at a mortal war. How to divide the conquest of thy sight? Mine eye, mine heart, thy picture sight would bar. My heart, mine eye, the freedom of that right. My heart does plead that thou in him dost lie. A closet never pierced with crystal eyes. But the defendant doth that plea deny, and says in him thy fair appearances lies. To side this title is empaneled, a quest of thoughts, all tenants of the heart, and by their verdict is determined the clear eyes' moiety and the dear heart's part. As thus mine eyes do is thy outward part, and my heart's right, thy inward love of heart.
Betwixt mine eye and heart a league is took. I'm sorry, this is Sonnet 47. Betwixt mine eye and heart a league is took, and each doth good turns now unto the other. When that mine eye is famished for a look, or heart in love with thighs himself doth smother, with my love's picture then my eye doth feast, and to the painted banquet bids my heart. Another time mine eye is my heart's guest, and in his thoughts of love doth share a part. So either by thy picture or my love, thyself away art present still with me. For thou not farther than my thoughts canst move, and I am still with them, and they with thee. Or if they sleep, thy picture in my sight awakes my heart to heart's and eyes' delight.
I'm Sharon Silcox. I'm reading from Baltimore, Maryland, and I'm reading Sonnet 48. How careful was I when I took my way, each trifle under truest bars to thrust, that to my use it might unused stay from hands of falsehood, in sure wards of trust. But thou, to whom my jewels trifles are, most worthy comfort, now my greatest grief, thou best of dearest, and mine only care, art left the prey of every vulgar thief. Thee have I not locked up in any chest, save where thou art not, though I feel thou art, within the gentle closure of my breast, from whence at pleasure thou mayest come and part. And even thence thou wilt be stolen, I fear, for truth proves thievish for a prize so dear.
My name is Sarah Stevens, and I will be doing Sonnet 49 today. So. Against that time, if ever that time come, when I shall see thee frown on my defects, when as thy love hath cast his utmost sum, called to that audit by advised respects, against that time when thou shalt strangely pass and scarcely greet me with that sum, thine eye, when love, converted from the thing it was, shall reasons find of settled gravity. Against that time do I ensconce me here within the knowledge of mine own desert, and this my hand against myself uprear, to guard the lawful reasons on my part. To leave poor me thou hast the strength of laws, since why to love I can allege no cause. Thank you.
I'm Jack Socket. I spend time in Durham, but I'm presently in New York City, and I'm reading sonnet number 50. How heavy do I journey on the way, when what I seek, my weary travels end, doth teach that ease and that repose to say, thus far the miles are measured from thy friend. The beast that bears me, tired of my woe, plods dully on to bear that weight in me, as if by some instinct the wretch did know his rider loved not speed, being made from thee. The bloody spur cannot provoke him on, that sometimes anger thrusts into his hide, which heavily he answers with a groan, more sharp to me than spurring to his side. For that same groan doth put this in my mind, my grief lives onward, and my joy behind. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Kurt. I'm Ray Dooley. I'm reading from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I'm reading Sonnet 51, which is the second half of a pair with the sonnet Jack just did, Sonnet 50. Thus can my love excuse the slow offense of my dull bearer, when from thee I speed. From where thou art, why should I haste me thence? Till I return, of posting is no need. Oh, what excuse will my poor beast then find, when swift extremity can seem but slow? Then should I spur, though mounted on the wind. In winged speed, no motion shall I know. Then can no horse with my desire keep pace. Therefore desire, of perfect love being made, shall weigh no dull flesh in his fiery race, but love, for love, thus shall excuse my jade. Since from thee going, he went willful slow, towards thee I'll run, and give him leave to go.